Gibby, all these kids here, where in the hell are we?
We are in the social space, buddy, is where we're at. Do you actually know where the social space is, buddy?
I do.
Oh, I don't know. You told all these athletes they were walking around Gibby's lanes earlier. I mean, it's right here. It's in the west side.
The west side of Gibby's.
The west side of Gibby's.
Oh.
Just so people...
Not in the front.
No.
Okay,
the west
all
side. So if people want to rent this for any... This is amazing, right, guys? This is a really nice space if you want to come in and do like a holiday party or a business meeting, anything you want to do. This place is gorgeous. It's awesome. So it's impressive. I'm glad we're here.
Well, I'm glad you got that out, because that was a lot for you. Did you have that rehearsed?
I did. This is a nice spot.
Hey, in a while, it's been a long time since we've done a podcast. I'm glad you're finally back from your work trip for their 14th time down to Florida. Mm-hmm. Did you actually spend time with your family this time?
I did, Kiki, didn't I? Yes, I did.
She was shaking her head no.
Well, of course, I was there the whole time with my family. Of course.
Well, I know it's winter now, so it's cold.
Yep.
So I'm expecting you to be on another work trip somewhere golfing, somewhere warm, very soon.
End of January.
Yeah, well, you'll do it sooner than that. But at the end of the day here, we got a bunch of kids here, seniors, all seniors. So just so you know, they're all seniors.
Yep.
You understand that?
Yep.
Okay. All right, we got all these kids here at the social space. We're going to do a fall sports roundup. It's going to be fun. We enjoy doing the podcast. We enjoy calling a lot of these games. I know you haven't been to, I've been to cross country. I watched Mara run. No, we were supposed to run against her, remember?
No, we were going to talk about that tonight, Mara. All right, so keep going.
Oh, Moose is over there mouthing it to me. Oh, he's been to soccer. I was at soccer games. I went and watched one game this year. No, I did. I sat right down by Father John.
Okay.
I support all sports.
I do, too.
You should try that someday.
I do.
All right, well, let's get in it. Hey, you talk about it. We're going to talk a little volleyball. We got your daughter here, Kiki. She did spend time with you down in Florida, which I feel really sorry for, just so you know. I honestly do, because it had to be boring.
Oh, no, come on, Scrib. That's the last thing I am is boring.
It's debatable.
Maybe embarrassing, but not boring.
Okay, we'll go with embarrassing. We already know that. She's embarrassed already. I mean, because she's the only one here to talk volleyball. The only one that knows volleyball besides me.
I've heard. To my defense, Scrib says he, was this big volleyball player, so we called him in over the summer.
No. Well, I might have.
Come on. Yeah.
All right, well, let's get over to Kiki here. We got volleyball going on. We got a new coaching regime in town.
Yes.
So, Kiki, how was your senior season this year, and what was the most fun thing about, getting into the new culture with these coaches?
I think something that was really fun was that we did something new every day. We didn't really do anything that we did last year. Everything was new, and it was a very new experience for us, and I think it made us become very close as a team. It was more like a family, and last year it kind of felt like we were all against each other, and this year everyone was more for each other, and I think they helped a lot with that, and we were very grateful to have people like that came in. I was sad that I could only have them for 1 year, but everyone else is so lucky to be able to have them every other year.
Well, I think that's interesting, right? Because just talking with the people now in the girls' basketball program, right, we got a new coach there, and part of it, what I was talking about to them is, hey, he wants me to tell you to make sure you get the mic closer to you. So everybody else, just pay attention, okay? Mic close to you, I guess. I don't know. But what I think about it that's interesting is, yeah, you only get them 1 year. But you can be that senior that starts the culture change and starts the progression from a new coach and what that means and just how do you handle that. It means a lot to the younger kids, I think. And that's what you got to be excited about, I think. I know it's always different as a new coach, how the season starts and ends, but that's something that I think anybody that starts with a new coach has to realize you can be the one that set the tone on how it's going to look for the future of New Richmond volleyball.
Yeah, and I think this year, obviously, Kiki be my daughter, watching you girls, your record didn't, I don't think, reflected completely how much of progress you made throughout the year. Because how many games were you in it, right? And you could have won many more matches, but the sets were there. There was a lot more in your girls' favor. I always was a little bit upset, and I think we talked about it a lot, about how in the playoffs, we got a little bit of disrespect. We swept Chippewa Falls when they came to New Richmond, and yet they got a higher seed in the playoffs. So how did that feel, Kiki, knowing, and what was the team message there in regards to, hey, we swept Chippewa Falls, now we got to go there in the playoffs, because I don't think maybe we got the respect that we deserved, and then went down and swept them.
We definitely expected to have a home game since right before the seeding meeting we swept them, but we knew all the other coaches thought that they were so much better than us, even though we had swept them. And their coach in the seating meeting said, well, our team was tired. Well, every other team is tired. And apparently the coaches thought that that was a good excuse. And we were just confused, but it felt really good to go there and sweep them again. And especially when we went to Hudson, and even though we lost, we still beat them in a set, which was better than before. So I feel like even though we lost, it still showed teams like we are a better team than we were before. And I think we're just starting to prove to other teams that we're better.
No, I agree. I couldn't agree more. So I guess to wrap up the volleyball season, what is one thing that you would, if we've got younger kids that are going to be watching this or parents that are watching this, Kiki, like, what would you tell them? What message would you like to share with them or to leave your senior season with?
I would say keep trying. I know that's a very basic thing to say, but there was so many times that I wanted to quit, and especially with like my past volleyball seasons, I haven't had like the best seasons ever, but I just kept going, and there was so many times where I regretted it, and I'd be like, I wish that I did something else, but in the end, it was so worth it because you meet so many people, and just the experience that you get are so fun, and it builds who you are as a person.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. All right. Sounds good. Volleyball season's done. Nice job. Okay, who do we have next? Tennis? You said we're going to do tennis next, right?
Excuse me, I got a frog in my throat.
Well, it's about time. Hey,
Well, I do.
I
I
wish
don't
I
know
could
what
have
to tell
planted
ya.
it in there 6 months ago.
Moose is, you know where Moose has been all week, right? Jeez.
All right, we got tennis. You going to lead us off and actually have an intelligent question to lead this thing off? That was good.
Well, you
I was
did?
very impressed with how you did with Kiki, actually.
Oh,
That was good.
Jesus.
But
See, I gotta
usually he's
put up
not
with
really good for more than one, so I'm just saying. But, all right, here we go.
Are you going to do it or
No,
no? You
go
want me
ahead.
to? All right, Lily, we've got Lily Bermude. I'm telling you, Bennett, give me some water. Yeah, just get up and give me some water. Gee, he thinks I'm joking here. All right, Lily, I don't know all your tennis stuff, but I think you were the number 3's doubles, right?
It was.
Okay, and who? You got to hold it close to you. And who was your partner?
I was partners with Lily Jess. She's a junior.
Okay, and you finished 3rd in conference?
Yes, we finished third in the conference, and Eau Claire Memorial and Hudson were above us.
Okay, and all your years in tennis, did you do all 4 years? Because I don't know.
I joined junior year, actually. Junior year was my first year.
So what made you join in your junior year? Like, what was exciting about it that you thought you wanted to join?
Well, I took lessons in middle school, and then I just didn't really go out for the team ever, and then I didn't have a fall sport. And then Denise Devereaux, the head coach, she talked me into it. So I did lessons the summer before junior year, and then I decided to join.
Denise is great too, Coach.
Oh, she's
She
awesome.
is.
She's
Yeah.
awesome.
Coach Devereaux's
I've heard
great.
everybody say that she's a really good coach. So, what was your most memorable experience this year for tennis?
I think I don't even know. I think everything was really fun. I think the most memorable moment was probably going down to Green Bay. That was the first tournament that we had starting off the season. That's when the top 10 for varsity go and they play for the first time. And I got to play with like a lot of new people, and the lineup was just constantly being changed. And it was a really fun experience, and all the people that I played against were really sweet. So I think it was just a really positive environment. And yeah, I think that was the highlight.
Oh, that's good. I think it's a good young team coming up, true, right? Is that correct? 'Cause I
Yeah.
know you got Lindsay Ritzer, and unfortunately broke her wrist, I think it was, right?
Yeah.
So we gave her a hard time. She has to learn how to walk, but I give her a hard time all the time about that. But, it's unfortunate when you have a young player come up. But as you leave the program now, how do you feel, how's it set up for next year?
I think we're going to have another rebuilding year. So a lot of our varsity lineup graduated. So I think for the next year, it's going to be a lot of work put in the off season for the younger players to step up and fill those spots. And I think they do a really good job at keeping it positive and challenging people. So I think next year it'll be a good year for the new players.
I've always wondered, Lily, when you have singles and you have doubles, okay, what is the deciding factor whether you're going to play one or the other, or how do they decide that?
I think it's more of a personality thing.
Okay.
Like me, I work really well with other people, and that's why me and Lily Jess played really well together. I prefer to have someone to work with, and then I think singles is more it's more fast paced and it's more competitive. And I think it's more of a personality thing. It's an independence thing.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, if you were doubles, obviously you've got 50% of what you're competing with is you don't control.
Yeah.
So that's probably, I mean, if somebody was more of a control person, you might want to be, I mean, that's Turtle Lake math. We're going to get that. So we get, right? So, I mean, if you're more of a, hey, I don't want to really depend on anybody, I just want to depend on myself, is that more of the singles route? That's
Yeah.
probably where you're going to go
Yeah.
versus want to count on somebody. Okay.
Yeah.
I've always wanted that. I haven't played competitive tennis, so. All right.
It's fun.
Well, I'm just glad you figured out the 50% and
Well, it's Turtle
relying
Lake
on it.
math. I was just, whenever I make like an obvious statement, it's generally I'm trying to help my buddy out over here, so just so everybody knows. But do you okay.
I think I'm gonna do the single thing because I'm done with you. I mean, just
See what
doubles
I'm
thing.
saying? Yeah, exactly. I should be in singles myself. So anyhow, all right. Well, thanks, Lily.
Thank you.
So, is there any message you'd like to give to any young child who's going to be listening to this or wants to take up tennis or become a Tiger tennis player? What would you tell them?
I would tell them to believe in yourself, and I know it's really hard and challenging learning, and in matches you can get really in your head. So I would say just stay positive and believe in yourself.
All right.
Yeah.
Love it. All right.
All right. Well, you should take that.
I
too.
should.
Stay positive.
I'll think about it.
Yeah, you
I'll
should.
think about it.
All right, now we're gonna move on to cross country. We got Mara Benedict. I mean, again, I got this list. We got to go all these things you've done in your career, but just I won't embarrass you too much, okay?
It's good stuff, though.
All right, Mara. All we know about you is 4-time All Conference, 2 times Big Rivers Runner of the Year or Cross Country of the Year, or whatever that title is. I don't even know what it is really. Runner, I think, right?
It's just like you're the conference champ.
Champ. Okay. 4 times the state. 40th your freshman year, 16th your 5th your junior, and then 32nd your senior. I know it is what it is.
Yeah.
It is what it is. But hey, you had a really great career in your cross country. So through the years, what are the most memorable moments for you?
I would say state's definitely probably the most memorable, but outside of that, because we only get to bring like one person, but this year we got to bring 2 because there was 2 runners. But honestly, for cross country, it's like, I understand it's like running, so everyone's like, it's not like fun, but having like people to create relationships, you never think you would be friends with those people, and then you run cross country and you kind of find people that you become very close with. So just like looking forward to practice every day almost is super fun, being able to run with your friends and have conversations.
So, and I've again not done cross country, but respect you guys so much because I can't imagine running that long, that fast. It's as much mental as it is physical. So when you're in those moments and your body wants to give up, like Scribs every day before he gets out of bed, what keeps you going to say, hey, right when your body's like, I've had enough?
Yeah, there's definitely times in races where you can feel yourself starting to give up. But usually, first, there's like, runners have some crazy, like, whacked up brains, I feel. Just like, who really wants to push themselves to like nearing, like, but for me, it's more like it's more of like a self competition. Like, I know I can go faster. So, like, some people wear watches. I choose to wear a watch. So I kind of race myself and like time wise. But I would say it's more just like your like voice in the back of your head, like you can keep going. Yeah, there's definitely times where there's reasons why you can't go faster, but yeah.
Well, and you think about a sport like cross country, and let's say, and how to push yourselves and train not in the season. Right?
Yeah, I run all year round.
Yeah. And to motivate yourself, it's not like getting a bunch of buddies together and playing a pickup game of basketball. You know what I mean? Where you're going to go and it's kind of fun. I'm not saying that running's not fun, but I mean to get yourself by yourself. I'm going to go run on some country roads all by myself and push myself.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a different way to
explain
think.
that a little bit to people that don't understand what that's like every day.
I think it's different for each person. I mean, it depends how driven you are and where you want to be, like, standing wise. I am a person that trained all year round. I felt like if I didn't, like if I missed like a week or if I skipped a week, that it would kind of put me set back in training. Because like every kind of week you would try to be just a little bit faster than last week in like workouts. So like we would have, let's just say like 3 easy days, and then in between the easy days would be like a workout, and then like a weekend would be a long run. So it's definitely harder to get up on those weekends, you know, when you want to just be sleeping in, but getting up on the weekends and running 12, 13 miles just for training. But it's, in the end, it's worth it. Like that feeling finishing a race is really, really great.
Yeah.
It depends on the person.
Yeah, for sure. You're wired a little differently, we'll
Yeah,
put, right?
I mean, like that excites me, but everyone's looking at me like I'm crazy.
No,
so.
I get it. And now, Mar, are you also not just a runner, a skier as well?
Yeah, I downhill ski race and then play soccer.
Yeah, so just real quickly, like, what is that all just around the local area, that type of thing?
Right
or?
now, this year, there's not much to offer just because most of the people my age are competing in high school and we don't have a high school team.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm planning on going like out west for college, so I'm hoping to join some sort of club in the winter there. But yeah, it was mostly just like local kind of Minnesota, Wisconsin area. We'd compete against different like club teams.
Sure. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So if somebody wants to be Mara Bennett, what are you going to tell them?
You know, it's not just the season that matters, it's the off season. You can push yourself hard during the off season, you'll see results. For cross country, you know when you're physically fit, it's just being able to compete with yourself mentally. So,
Okay.
Yeah, and I think you were, a great role model for the younger kids. Like I know you showed up at the 7th and 8th grade meets at times, but also, Kendra, right? She started off, I kind of expected her to have a good year. I did not think she'd end it like that, but I think that's you're
my
part
goal,
of that.
She was my goal this year. I wanted to take her under my wing. I could see the potential, and I wanted to take her under my wing. And I feel like she's set up pretty well for the rest of her career.
Yeah, I would think so based off state, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So,
well, good. All right.
all right, well, I guess we got to do, what do they call it, like football?
Football.
Football.
There we go.
We'll call it soccer. Yeah, you can use both mics. Is that too close there, Moose? There you go, sir. All right, we're going to kick it into soccer here. We got Zaylen and Nehemiah. Steven couldn't make it, but we'll go with you guys. So, Zaylen, you were the goalies 50% of the time?
Yeah, around 60-40.
60-40, because that still adds up to 100. That's Star Prairie math.
Yeah.
We got to help them out there,
So
too.
if it would be like Turtle Lake, it'd be like 35-40. Wouldn't make any sense, but we'll just keep going.
Yeah,
with it,
we'll keep going. And then Nehemiah, I'm not a soccer guy, to be honest. So what position did you play?
I played center back for the whole season.
Okay. All right, so how was your season? Let's talk about your season. I know you guys had another great season, right? It's been multiple really good seasons in a row. This year, I thought, what I'd kind of heard is like, hey, you're going to get over the hump, but unfortunately, we didn't, right? I get it. But how was your season in general?
So our season, like the past couple of years, we lost only 4 games this year. 3 of those games were against Division I teams, Hudson and Memorial, and then we lost the regional championship to River Falls. But we ended 18-4-1, 4-2. So, like the last couple of years, we've been winning a lot of games. We just can't get past the playoffs currently.
Yeah, it seems like that's been the thing. And hasn't it in the past, it's kind of always been River Falls, one of the teams that knocks you off, isn't it?
And this year was what, double overtime? Or
It
overtime?
was shootout.
Yeah, shootout,
So,
right.
Yeah, we kind of have a rivalry with them. That's kind of been a constant thing, but we got past them 2 years ago into the sectional final versus the Forest. And that's kind of our highlight as a senior group. That was fun. Just couldn't get past them. We played them into double overtime, and they scored with like 4 minutes left, something like that,
Yeah,
to win the game.
96 minute.
Yeah.
This year, you're saying, right?
No, 2 years ago.
2 years ago, okay.
And then, this year, shootout lost River Falls. I think it was just kind of unlucky. We controlled the whole game. They had no shots on net all game. That was their game plan. Played into penalties. That's what their coach told the news reporter after the game.
Really? See, I just running all over, nonstop, and they're no action. I'm just not a big soccer fan. I get it. It's just not I'm just honest. See, I can be honest, Gibby. But what's
I'm a soccer
interesting,
fan.
though,
I am a
is-
soccer fan because I can appreciate people that give forth efforts and those types.
That's
of
where I
things.
was going. But
Oh,
of
is that
course,
where you were going? Okay.
But I think it's interesting. It just always comes down to one thing. You know what I mean? Like seriously, all that, and then the shootout, right? It's like, unfortunately, like how many shots you guys had compared to them, and you just didn't go in, right? And that's the unfortunate part of it.
Yeah, and then it comes with also beating them twice during the regular season.
Right.
So they knew who we are, what we do, different players that impact the game more, and they kind of focus more on them. Like our striker Leighton, who's a sophomore this year, he was one of our main guys to go to, and when they brought their best offensive player back on to defense, they just shut him down for their whole game. So we had to find different ways, and we had shots, but they just didn't go in.
And I think it also goes like to say that we had an injury. Like our other keeper Isaiah who was playing on a majority of the minutes throughout the year because I was playing on the field. He got injured right before a couple games before playoffs. So I think if that doesn't happen, I think maybe I go on the field and maybe we have a different look because I played in net the first 2 times we played River Falls, so they wouldn't really know how to game plan against that, I guess. I don't know.
Sure. So I've always, when you talk about how many miles do you run in a soccer? Like I feel like if you wore like
I should know
a
this.
Fitbit or something, it would be like to see how many
we got-
miles you would run in a soccer game.
It's like it's between, depending on position, like 5 to 7.
I would, yeah. It's incredible.
The fact that you run 5 to 7 miles, Zaylen, who would have known? I'm just saying. I think everybody else here agrees with me. See? Well, I think, though, at the end of the day, like, that was one thing that I thought when I had noticed. I'm like, oh, Zaylen's not in goal. Like, I think the game I was at, you weren't in the goal, and I didn't know that, or maybe Bennett had told me one time you were kind of switching back and forth. So how did you like that this year? Because that's something different.
I liked it. That's something I've always liked to do. I wouldn't say I'm terrible at it, so it's pretty cool to do both in the same year.
Because all your other years, you were the goalie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I got injured my sophomore year, so I had to play on the field for a little bit. That was towards the end of the year, so.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So if you were to give some advice to some of the younger, now we talk about trying to get over the hump, right? I mean, that's what the soccer team is.
Yeah.
Is what your seniors, you've been there. You guys were successful. Obviously, you guys had a great, successful season. Didn't end the way you want to, which happens for most, right? At the end of the year, there's only one champion. So, but what would you tell the younger soccer players right now in the system? Hey, this is what you need to do to help get the Richmond program over the hump.
I would think what Mara said, it's all off-season stuff.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of stuff. Our coach Darren, he it's too much, honestly, but I think it's too much, but it's great for the kids. There's a lot of stuff that he gets organized throughout even the winter indoor stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, it's already started every Sunday. What? Yeah.
So he starts an indoor league, 3v3s. It starts 2 weeks after the season ends, and then it runs through February. And after February, he starts our spring/summer season, which will go from anywhere between March or April, depending on weather, and it'll go through June. And then once August hits, we get our captain's practices, our contact days, and then the season starts. And then we're back in school in season. But I would feel like something that I would say for younger generations is you got to put in the time with the little things. I feel like soccer, yes, a lot of things is running. It's a lot of endurance. But some of the small ball handling stuff, passing, being in the right position, knowing where you're supposed to be, what to do, where you want to like move people. I feel like that's probably one of the bigger things that we struggle with in Richmond sometimes. We have a lot of staying around, which happened this year, but we just got to find those moments, take chances when we need to, and hopefully we can get over the hump in a couple of years.
Sounds good.
All right.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
On to,
On to football. Why don't you pass
we got
it
a
over
couple
there?
of these guys here.
All right, I don't know how we're going to do this. We'll figure it out. But now we have, what do we got here? A lot of You want to count them?
Oh,
Well, yeah, because look at it. You can't even, you don't have enough digits, do you? Oh, you might. Yeah. All right, well, hey, let's just jump into the football, the last part here. We got 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 of the football players here. Had a great season. I know I enjoyed it, calling it. Unfortunately, my partner half the time, unfortunately, he was there with me. I wish he wouldn't have been, but it was better when other people were there. But hey, at the end of the day, you guys went 11-1. 11 straight wins, obviously. School tied the school record for the most wins in a season. You know, at the end of the day, just one hell of a season. It was fun calling it. It was fun watching it. Obviously, with this group here, you know, and you guys too, I know almost everybody. I've coached them at some point in time. It was a great season, and it was fun. It was fun, actually, to call it with you at times. Yeah, I have to say that.
Sometimes it was fun.
Well, let's just roll it off. Dennis, D-Rock. Rumor on the street is you're tougher than a $2 steak.
Yeah.
I actually went out and tried one of those, and those things are pretty tough. So. Those things, yeah. I'm not sure I'd go back to one of those. So.
I love it. I love it. I wish you'd have had one right here, right now.
I just got it. I mean, that question is coming for somebody else down the road there. And I want to see what Aiden has to say when I ask him about how tough he is.
Okay. Yeah.
Because of, you know,
Anyhow, let's not cut D-Rock off. He's talking.
Just wait.
We're
I'm
gonna
going to get to you.
We're gonna get to Aiden.
Yeah, we'll get to him.
Yeah.
So D-Rock, your season was great. Obviously, you know, you got put in the, I think it's a Mike position, right?
Yeah, it was kind of unique this year too, because I showed up all off season. I was thinking I was playing D-line where I was last year, and then Coach Larson on the first day of practice says, "You're trying Mike today," and I was like, "We'll give it a whirl," and I didn't move after that. So, but it was a fun season. I mean, picking up the new things, I really gotta give it to Coach Da Anderson. I mean, I wouldn't have been able to do anything without him. But yeah, I had too much fun out there. It was a blast this year.
Yeah. This by far was the most. I mean, I love football more than anything in the world, but this year was fun, right? And calling your guys' name and screaming a little bit more than I probably should have, and I screamed your name a lot, D-Rock. So you brought a lot of I think ibuprofen to the other team. Did you take a lot of pride in to bring in the ibuprofen and being that $2 steak that was out there at that Mike linebacker?
Yeah, I mean, I just like hitting hard. I mean, I don't get to do it really much else. So being on that field and kind of just getting let loose a little bit, getting the chain off my neck, it was kind of nice. It was kind of fun.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun watching you, and it was great. You know, I know the energy you brought. Always out there. Well, I would say always out there smiling, having fun. I think that was just this whole group, right? I think you guys, you know, after the first game, obviously we had a long drive back talking to Gibby and Strand and Kip, and we were like, geez, you know, hey, we won. But the first hour is like, you know, what are we going to have this year? Because, you know, after last year, everybody was wondering, like, hey, how do you repeat 10-2? How do you bring, you know, we lost a lot of guys, right? You just talked about them earlier, Miles Burke. You know, there's a lot of guys, the quarterback, like, what's the team going to have? And then after, you know, the second game, the third game, you started seeing the momentum. Everybody just started to kind of fall into position. It was just fun to watch the growth from game 1 to game 12. And that was from every one of you guys. It was just fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest part about that was just leaning on the guys next to me here. I mean, that's the cool thing about football is you got everybody next to you playing for the same reason. And that was the easiest part for me was just counting on everybody like in class once class started and just on the field at practice. You're tired, but everybody else is too. So we're all just being able to count on each other.
Yeah, love it.
All right. Well, let's just go to Aiden quick. You can pass that mic down. So, Aiden, now I got to hear how you tried to figure out how tough you were, because you were tougher than woodpecker lips. Did you know that?
I feel like I've watched the game when I remember that, but
Yeah,
I don't.
I named that just came
I
out.
didn't know
You
what
know what
that
I mean?
meant,
Hey,
I didn't know
think
what it
about a
meant.
woodpecker and how tough their lips got to be. It's tough. You know what I mean? And you hurt your shoulder, and it was
Rice Lake.
the Rice Lake game.
Were you at that game?
Yes, I was
Okay.
there. And yeah, so take us through that moment.
So it was a little bit tough for me. I mean, obviously that was at the beginning of the drive. I caught a little screen pass, and I got landed on by one of their biggest linemen. So I was dealing with that the entire drive pretty much.
Yeah.
And then obviously we go down the field, and it's a 4th down play. And I catch one, and I get drilled in the head, you know, blurry all around. So I went out after that, and that was kind of tough for me. I mean, watching from the sidelines, I mean, we won, so obviously I was happy after that. But it was kind of tough because the next week is homecoming, and, you know, that's always the biggest crowd. That's always the biggest game. So I wanted to be back for that. And, you know, it just took a lot to Yeah, I guess.
It was Menominee too,
Yeah.
right? It's
Yeah.
Menominee too.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, obviously the crowd wanted to see it, but obviously your health was the number one thing, you know, that people cared about. But to see you out there was really nice and had a heck of a game too.
Yep.
What a season!
Yeah,
How many touchdowns did we end up with? 12?
13.
13 touchdowns, man. That's got to be some type of record from the Richmond,
Yeah,
isn't
it's
it?
a single season record.
Yeah, single season, absolutely. Let's go, man. Let's go. That's awesome. That is awesome.
The one thing, though, I think that we've all noticed, everybody in this room, when you got hit that day, it didn't knock any sense into it because you come here wearing a Minnesota shirt. I'm just saying. I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying. You don't need to say that, Zaylen. I mean, we all know they beat the Badgers this year. But, I mean, seriously, I mean, you could have wore a better shirt.
All right. That's what it is. All right, here we go. What's up?
All right, Javen.
Thank you.
Now, there's a guy, you know, I remember, hey, I just tell it how it is. I remember I had emailed Mr. Eckert, Aiden's dad, or talked to him, hey, can you give me the starting lineup? And I didn't hear anything back. So, I'm like, Bennett, who's starting everywhere? Because I always like to know for the first game. And he gave me Javen. I'm like, geez, I didn't even know you were still playing. Honestly, I didn't. And then the next day I get Junker gives me the list. I'm like, oh, D-line gives me the your height and your weight. And I'm like, all right, that's our D-line now I guess we're going to go with. And to think from that game to Hudson where all we did is called Holzbauer in the backfield. I mean, you literally were in the backfield half that game. I felt like, I think you led the team with 5 or 6 tackles, like 3 for losses, if I remember right. I mean, what a hell of a season you had, huh?
Yeah, it was very satisfying because going into the season, I mean, I didn't play varsity at all last year. Didn't really know if there was going to be a spot for me on defense. Trevor and Dennis, great players and that stuff. It looked like they had the flex spot on our defensive line locked down, but got the opportunity with Dennis moving back to Mike and just kind of decided that I was going to keep on working as hard as I could, try to make the most out of all the opportunities that I was given there, and just kind of didn't look back after that.
Well, and I think that's important too, right? Like you had said at the beginning of the season, let's say at your end of your junior year, you hadn't played any varsity. You're going into your senior season going, man, I haven't started a varsity game. What pushed you to say, hey, and again, this is a message you're giving to other kids that are going to be in the exact same situation that you're in, right? What was your thought process going into your senior season then?
The big thing is that even though I hadn't played varsity at all throughout the junior season, I mean, the group of guys that we have is a very good group of guys. I mean, enjoy being around them. And so it made going to work and trying to get to be the best that I can be really easy, because even if I didn't play, it was still just a fun group of guys to be around. And so I wanted to be the best that I could be for the team. So.
I mean, that's awesome. I mean, that's a message that I think when people ask us about New Richmond football, and I think you guys can agree with this, it's like when you guys are out there, we're never the biggest, right? At least up to this point. And it's been that way since we've started this announcing. Yeah. But somehow, some way, people are always like, God, your kids are tough. I mean, that's probably one of the biggest messages that we get is just how tough you kids play. And I think it's exactly what you said, Hosbauer. Like, you just go in there with this mentality that, hey, man, I'm surrounded by my brothers. I have to do the best that I can to help them out. And it's the next man up type mentality. And I'm guessing you put your time in the weight room. You did the summer stuff. Is that not right? That's where you make that next step and you're able to perform. Because getting to the varsity level is one thing. Performing is a whole different story, right? So doing both, hats off to you, my man. That's awesome.
I think you're a great message to the program.
100%. There's no doubt.
And I think when we talked to the Hudson guys, like we did the playoff thing, and one of the things that the message we got from them is like, man, you guys are getting tougher, stronger, just physically stronger every year. They're just like, can't believe how strong and how fast. Hudson's twice the size of us, but we're bringing better, stronger, faster athletes to the game every time. And it's, you guys all are proof of the pudding there.
Absolutely. That's awesome.
All right, the guy in the middle, all-state linebacker, Trevor Solon. A couple of things I like to give a hard time about is like, I remember the first couple games, I was like, I don't understand why anybody if you're the kick returner, I would be begging my coach, you see number 44? Can you have like 5 guys block him? Because you took out a couple guys every game. But what a season you've had. I mean, what do you got to say about your season?
Obviously, like, came up shorter than I hoped it would, but just like the relationship that we built with each other and like my accomplishments, and I think it was a great season.
I think one thing that's interesting to me, Trevor, is just All-State, well-deserved. I mean, it's awesome. But it's interesting how you look at our stats defensively in the big rivers. Bennett led it. I mean, Cole Stevens and Bennett are the 2 biggest names in defense that shows, for interceptions and sacks and tackles for loss. Otherwise, you go about tackles, it's like, where is New Richmond? And then it's because of all you guys. Like I think about Trevor at the beginning of the season, it was all about Trevor Sloan, I swear to God. Like, we called his name all the time. And then it was the Hudson with Holzbauer. Abe, I think you were the 4th game, if I remember. You led it like 8 tackles or something. And then it was D-Rock. But, I think that's the collection of this defense was just nonstop, everybody doing their job. And there was just so many good players defensively. It's hard to say you're an all-state linebacker, and then you got D-Rock all-conference, Abe out there as a corner just racking it up, region. Honorable mention all-state. It's just interesting how our defense was so tough. Stat-wise, it was weird, though. You know what I mean? Just tackles. But I remember telling Gibby a couple times, like, it's obvious because we don't talk about Trevor every game, or we don't talk about D-Rock or Abe. It's just, that's just how the stats played out this year, and it was evident for sure.
Yeah, so just take us through like your mentality going into your senior season.
I think I had a pretty decent junior year, and I got 2nd team all conference, and I knew that I would have a bigger role, like leadership-wise now, being a senior and being one of those returning seniors. So I didn't really think it was going to get like as good as it did, but just when we started the season and stuff got rolling, and you could tell like this group was different, and yeah, we had a lot of fun.
Yeah, you guys, another one of the ibuprofen twins. I like to call it. You and D-Rock out there, man. It was fun to watch you guys, man. It was.
Yeah, there's a couple of those games I think I was just watching one of them because I hadn't seen the play again. It was the first playoff game, Marshfield, I think, where they threw the ball in the flat. I think you were right there. Just smoked that guy. Oh, yeah. D-Rock had one in the flat on the other side. It was just some big hits, and you were always giving the big hits. It was fun to watch. So I'm going to miss seeing Trevor wearing number 44, but the rumor is there'll be another 44 on defense, right?
Maybe. We'll see. We'll see if he wants to pave his own path or not. I don't know. But yeah, he's a freshman. He's working his way up there during the off season, so we'll see.
But I do want to congratulate you, Trevor, on the All-State. It's a very, very short list from New Richmond that's made that, so congratulations.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Abe, what do you think about the season?
I think it went very well. I think it's bigger than what's on paper, like you said, like the stats. We did a lot of stuff behind the scenes that a lot of people don't see. That's the stuff that I'm the most proud of. Not just from the senior group, but from the whole program. Just coming in as a freshman, there's 6 seniors, and it's really like, okay, what are we? We're going into a new conference, all these things, and I'm obviously new to New Richmond, not growing up here, and I came in with a mentality where it's like, I don't care what other people think of us, and I think that was really my goal going into senior year. Was like, I want to leave like proud of what we did and leave this program with an image where everyone looks at us and they're afraid of us, So that's really we accomplished that this year for sure, and so that's what I'm the most proud of from this season.
Yeah, I think it was fun watching you this year specifically. Everybody knew you were going to be out on one of the corners, right? And there were some good receivers, in this conference this year with Ellison, Johnson.
Yeah, a couple D1 commits,
yeah.
D2 commits. Every week you're facing a new guy, and it's a testament to how great our conference is. Like, and the fact that we were able to win all those games is like, it's a big accomplishment that people need to understand. Like, we went out there and we did that,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree. I think that was one thing. Again, driving back from Marshfield the first game, I kind of go back to that. But then knowing that we had what I called it the gauntlet, the 5 tough games, right? Starting with Chip. And it was fun as we got North out of the way, right? It was North we played, yeah.
Yeah.
And then it was Chip, and just starting to see the ball rolling and how fun that was. But then what I enjoyed too was watching you guys. It was business to you guys. I mean, yeah, everybody's having fun, right? You guys always had fun out there, but it was always one thing that this group. Obviously, I've coached a lot of you guys in different sports, but Brent, Ani, and I have always talked about is like, there's no one leader, there's no one guy, the alpha male. Everybody just does their thing, but you're just all having fun, and it's something that it showed out there on the football field. With all the different accolades everybody here has accomplished. It's fun to see, but it's also, like you said, it's all the little things, Abe, right? Behind the scenes that the parents don't know about or the fans don't know about. And I think that's a great call out, Abe.
Yeah, my dad, he would always ask me about practice, and I was really quiet about it. I'm sure Bennett did the same thing for you.
No, I don't think he did.
No.
Because, you adopt, that's like Coach Larson's philosophy, where it's like, we're going to keep everything indoors. I forgot what I was going to say. I just lost my train of thought.
But just keeping everything indoors
and
being confident and not have to talk about it.
Like a lot of stuff went on behind the scenes
Right.
that people don't see. Like the biggest thing the thing that was most massive for us was we got all of our leaders together preseason, and we did a big meeting, and we really talked about what are our goals and what are we going to do? What can we control to get there? And Coach Larson always preaches that. But to be a part of that group of guys that set that standard and really lived out embracing our culture, which was our motto for this year. That's what really made a difference this year. That's why we were able to keep our success. It's not because of one guy's talent, because with our guys, with our team, with a scheme, you can take out one guy. And that's why we were able to beat other teams, is because we all bought into that. And
for sure.
Yeah.
We did it as a group, everybody bought in, and that's why we had success. And yeah.
No, I think that's great. That's a good, that's awesome. And that's what you're leaving for. That's what we've kind of talked about a couple times on the podcast and games, the impression you left on the younger kids in the program. So great.
For sure.
Cool. All right. Pass it back. Bennett, we'll go to you. Obviously, I can't even really talk about him, so you got to ask questions.
So Bennett, is there a specific play that sticks out in your mind throughout the season?
I'm probably thinking about the same one as you are. The first game when we let a guy go loose across the sideline, and I'm on the other side of the field, and I hawk him down on the 1 yard line.
Yeah, you did, man.
And then 4 straight plays on the 1 yard line, we stop them, and then at the end of the game, we realize that's one of the big plays that kept us in the game and won us the game.
Yeah, and 100%. That's what I had to ask. And I remember when we called that, I go, that could be one of those plays this year that defines our season, and I think it really, truly did, right? But now go back a little bit, actually similar to what Hosbauer was talking about. So last year, right, not a starting safety, okay? All of a sudden this year, starting safety, and come in and, we only lead the team the league in interceptions. So what do you think helped lead to some of that success?
I'd like to credit Coach Larson. It's every day asking you how you're feeling, how you're gonna be, just pushing us to be as great, as good as we can be in the weight room and out on the field. So just having him pushing us every day to, work as hard as we can, control what we can, and just, pave our own path.
Yeah, going from not starting on varsity, all of a sudden coming in, and I actually think you're a first team safety myself, but we're going to take the second team. It's still a good accomplishment, but man, to lead, like you were saying, our conference, which I think is tougher than nails, to come in and lead it in interceptions. And I think that when you made a lot of those interceptions in big key moments too, Bennett, which and again, just like that play in Marshfield at the first game of the year, it just always seemed like you came up with some big plays when we had to. So, and again, I'm guessing you're attributing that to the practice plan, and what Coach Larson put together for you guys.
Yeah, I'd like to say it's pretty easy to guard a half of the field when you have Abe out there on the other half. So makes it a lot easier when you have a lockdown corner.
Well, I would say a lockdown corner, and also the talent from your mom is what I would say.
Yeah, sure.
That's probably where I would go. I would go with that.
Yeah, I
So-
figured you had to say that.
Yeah.
You had to rip on me again. But I'm fine with that, Gibby.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Yeah, it's all right.
All right.
I think Bennett, the one thing I would say that it was fun watching. Obviously, it's different. First time I've been calling a game where, you were on the field that much. I know it was, with your daughter out there playing volleyball. It's different. But it's fun. You get up there, and I know I had people say, hey, you could talk more about your kid. I'm like, I can't because I'm just a fan. And I think what people forget about that, he's my son, but at the end of the day, I'm a fan of all you guys, specifically, everybody that played football, half of the basketball team, Nehemiah coached you, but, people I've coached, and it's fun. And that's why for me, it was more enjoyable. It's not just Bennett, it's this entire group that I've grown up with, coaching them. I mean, Cripes had to coach Ani.
I'm just
Acker.
surprised with him coaching you guys, and you guys are this successful. It's amazing.
Well,
they
asked for football talent. They said, isn't there Gibby? They're like, no, we want somebody that actually knows something. All right. Well, let's move on to, as Gibby would like to say, feed the dog.
Feed the dog. All right.
So, Joe, a hell of a season, right? And it's kind of one of those things last year. I kind of remember at the beginning of the season, you were kind of right there with Miles most of the way, kind of leading the team majority of the, I think, beginning of the season last year. And then Miles just went on a tear towards the end. So I kind of felt like coming into the season, like, we're going to be set because knowing that you're going to be able to lead it and you had, some younger kids coming in, we kind of figured Austin would be the other guy. But I'll tell you what, very similar. You had a great, 7 games to start the season. But your last 4 or 5 games, man, holy crap. 90-some carries in your last 3 games alone, almost 100, I think, actually. What a season. So what do you contribute at all to?
I would contribute a lot of that to Coach Kelly, our running backs coach. It's one thing having a coach who knows football and knows like the running back position, but it's another thing to understand the game. And the fact that he can pull out a play and tell us, like, this is what you're doing. This is the reason why you're doing this. If you do this, this will happen. So he understands the game to a higher level. Obviously, he played D1 football at NDSU. He was an offensive lineman, so that helps a lot. He understands the game more than I think the average coach in Wisconsin definitely does. So,
well, that's great. Throughout the season, though, kind of like Gibby had talked about, you left a mark on this team, right, or this program, right? Gibby, you kind of said it a lot too, just always out there working. I just think about some of those runs, and obviously you contributed to your O-line as well, but you'd get hit 2 yards, and next thing you know, you're 8 yards down the field. What's that mentality like as you're out there?
that's just keep pushing the pile. I mean, a lot of that's on my offensive linemen. If I get contact, they're there pushing behind me. But yeah, don't let your feet stop when you're on contact. Just keep pushing. Yeah.
I know we talked about it one day when you were over at the house there, but if I remember right, you never put the ball on the ground this year as a senior, right?
Not that I know of.
I was going to ask that, and I never
I
wanted
don't
to say
think
it
I did.
online.
Oh, yeah, you don't
because
think I did.
you can't say that, right? Because you don't want to jinx
There was one
anybody.
time in Menominee where it was close. I think it came out, but it went out of bounds when I got hit out of bounds. But never on the actual field. No.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's amazing for as many touches as you had. You just also just some nice catches throughout the season this year too. So, I mean, a hell of a season. Was fun watching the last 2 years, but this year was just amazing. Some of your runs. Now, I called the long run quite a few times in the pregame, but unfortunately, the one big one in Rice Lake, and that was the only score of the game, which was kind of odd, but it was still a good tone setter, right? Obviously, that's the game we could have back. It'd be great, but we can't.
Well, going back, I want to touch back to so I was just doing some simple, I don't even think we talked about this, I meant to, but I think I had 113 carries my senior year. You had 90-some in 3 games. That's a lot. I mean, that's a lot of carries. That's a lot of bodies banging and what type of mentality, because, man, you had to be getting tired, Joey.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So, I mean, but take it, I mean, you get up to 30 carries a game. I mean, that was unheard of for us. But so take us through that, because people don't understand that, right? Like, oh, Joey had 33 carries for 70-some yards, but they don't understand it, right? So if you could kind of wrap this up for somebody, what it is like to carry the ball 90 sometimes in 3 games, and was it 600? It was a lot of yards in those 3 games. Just take us through that a little bit.
Yeah, so Austin got hurt in Superior, our last regular season game of the year. And then we always had Ponick in as our alternate running back if things were to happen. So figured it was going to be me and Ponick throughout the playoffs. And then he has some sort of illness that was really bad. He's out for 2 weeks. So then I'm sitting there. I'm the only running back, so I got to suck it up. Like, I know the ball's going to be in my hands majority of the time on offense, at least. And yeah, I mean, you can't let it get to your head. Just keep running, keep hitting people. Yeah.
Well, and to your credit, Joe, it was like it's almost like every time you knew what you were going to get out of your efforts, and that's what I was saying in that last game. I kind of felt like I didn't know where some efforts of some individuals were going, but it was like we handed you the football, and it was like there was just no gut, there was no quit, right? And so that I would say the big thing, if anybody ever looks back on your career here, Joe, is that you got to have guts, man. You got to go give it, right? And it doesn't matter about how many times you got to carry that rock. You just got to keep carrying it. So, congratulations on an amazing senior year.
All right, AA. I'm just going back to the Hudson game, 13-14. We're down. Little simple route. Take us through that catch.
Yeah, I think it was we were in the same play twice, actually, and I had an RPO.
He's got to hold it a little closer. There we go.
It was an RPO, and I was running a slant, and the first play, Nick didn't throw it, and I think we ran for like 10 yards for first down. And then we just did the same play over again, and I was like, I signaled slant to Nick, and obviously it was there, so ran into the end zone.
Hey, that's Star Prairie logic there.
Hey, no, it's Star Prairie talent. That's what we're going to call that.
Oh, my
Aren't we,
God.
Big Dog? Let's go. All
Star
right,
Prairie
just keep
logic
going.
we'll go with. Well, let's just talk a little bit about, what are your thoughts on the senior season?
I thought it was definitely the most fun season I've ever had. Just with the guys that we did it with, and obviously winning was fun, but even just the way we built, a family was definitely a big part of it. It was just awesome.
Yeah, I think one thing here, just even everybody here, just talking about just the team, and it's fun to hear everybody talk about how you built a family, a team. There's one thing you're going to leave for the kids below you in any sport, right? What would it be the one aspect you'd tell them to focus on?
Just doing things in the off season, like together, I would say, to build more chemistry. I think is a big part of it, and just do everything as a team and not worry about your individual self.
I love that.
That's awesome.
All right, last one, Creddy. You had like 3 of the most amazing catches, if I remember, this year.
Well, and the thing about it is Creddy, now Creddy knows, and I know Creddy's dad pretty well, and so he doesn't say much.
No,
but
he
it's
doesn't
like,
talk.
right?
Yeah.
It's just, but Creddy's season's kind of, I'd call it a Creddy season. You don't hear a whole lot, but man, when he talks, it means something. And that was like, catches Creddy had this year. You were just saying 3 probably?
It was 3, right? You had the 2 to the end zone, then 2 in the end zone laying flat out, and then the one heading to the out of bounds on the side there, right? I think it was 3.
At least 3 that were unbelievable catches.
All my
this year.
catches were basically fade touchdowns.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Nothing simple. He didn't make it easy on you, right?
Yeah, I mean, just going through that, you had to come up with them, right? I mean, the Marshfield one was awesome. What are your thoughts on that? When that ball's coming, what are you thinking?
Well, basically all of them, I knew I was going to get the ball, so just run as hard as you can, and I don't know.
Well, and the thing is, I don't think, I feel like, Creddy, your catches were always like big moment catches. And that's not easy. Like if you're not getting the ball chucked at you 10, 12 times a game, like you can drop one here or there. Nobody's going to remember that. But it's like you had to make everything count when you got it, right? And so if what would you tell somebody that says, hey, man, with that type of mentality to say, is it you don't over-pressurize yourself, you just let the game come to you? Like what would your words of advice to be in that position?
I feel like it's more about the plays where you're not getting the ball because, like, Coach Brown, you're getting a minus if you're not going to go out there and, like, try to lay somebody out every play on a block. And that was kind of me and Alex. We didn't get the ball as much as, Aiden because we just run a lot of RPO offense. So just going out there and blocking every single play, and that's what was a big thing for us.
All right. I wouldn't even have thought of that. I mean, that's awesome. I mean, because that's obviously blocking for Joe downfield, right? I mean, those things like that's a lot of times when you attribute to running backs busting the long ones, it's usually a wide receiver that's going to make that final block. So 100%. A great season. Great. Big catches. I always felt like if there was some big, amazing catch, credit's on the end of it.
Well, if he caught it, you were screaming it.
Right.
I mean, that's kind of how you go. I mean, everybody in the crowd would know when something happened because Gibby was yelling.
So I wanted him to hear it.
Well, there was a few times I think he did.
Okay, well, that's my goal.
All right. Well, I think that's kind of wraps it up here. So I really appreciate you guys coming. Anybody got anything else you want to add?
No, before we wrap this thing up. So now a bunch of seniors here sitting together. You got funny stories you got about each other? I mean, not even about maybe not even in sports or, we don't have to worry about keeping it clean. We just got to say some fun stories. I've seen you guys a lot, right? Kiki having kids over at the pool. So I've seen a lot of you guys over. And it's kind of a crazy watching how Mara, I was thinking about this the other day. Do you remember when you were staying? Yes. I about ended Mara's career before it started.
I still have that scar on my foot. I see it like all the time, and I remember it every single time.
So
I was just talking to my mom.
Very quick story. So I had this black, those little trampolines that are this big? It's sitting out in the middle of our yard, and they were playing like
Ghost in the Graveyard,
Ghost in the Graveyard
Kick the
or
can.
something.
It might have been Kick the Can.
And I'm thinking to myself, like, that trampoline's out there. I hope no more got that out of my mouth. Mara broke her leg.
No.
That's what they came in and said. We think Mara broke her leg. Like, oh my God. Run out there, tripped over the trampoline.
I'm hauling it. Like, that's just,
balling.
someone, like, kick the can or something. I'm hauling it to that can.
Yeah.
And I trip over, the metal part of, like, the spring, and I just, like, have this huge gash in my foot, like, top of the foot right here.
Carried her in, laid her on the floor. I'm like, oh my God, I just busted this kid's foot. And I'm like, how is it? Can you move it? Yeah, I could. I'll never forget it.
Oh, I had a soccer camp the next day. That's why we cared. It was like a surgery. Like he had to clean it.
Yeah.
Like it was this whole big deal.
We're good.
If she doesn't, they don't go to state in soccer this year. It's your fault because she missed that camp. I'm just calling it.
This was like 5th grade?
It doesn't matter. It's your fault. Okay?
Yeah, I remember that one. I for sure I want to talk about that tonight. Any other stories, fun stories you guys have? Like elementary stories, right? Oh, here we got one. We didn't even go to school here.
No, this is not from back in this is not from back in Ohio.
Okay.
This is a Wisconsin story.
Okay.
So we all decided to get, well, not all of us, not the offensive guys. On defense, we all decided to get haircuts this year. For the D-line guys, these two, who did your haircuts?
Sam Mayorga.
You need a haircut. Sam Mayorga can do it. Can do just about anything out there. I mean, yeah, it was. I needed cheat. And he did it pretty good. So.
And the whole season, I got a buzz cut in the beginning of the season. I was trying to get Trevor, really trying to get Trevor to get a buzz cut, because everyone thought like he's already the baddest player out there, Imagine if he had a buzz cut, like who's trying to hit that, And one day, brought in the Clippers, and it was a massive moment for our team.
Yeah.
Just bonded us all together, Trevor, take me through your thoughts, when you let go of the Letty.
I mean, it was in the locker room, and there was a lot of hair, but Abe faded me up good, and we rocked it. So, yeah.
Oh yeah. Tell us about your brother's low taper fade.
Yeah, my brother did the same thing. So
nice, passing the tradition now. Yeah. All right.
And Bennett.
Girls, you don't got any dirt on these guys you can share with us? No.
I mean, Bennett did give Aiden a haircut.
Honestly, it's my first ever haircut. It kind of does look pretty good.
Oh, this is it right here. Yeah, this is good.
And then Abe gave me my haircut. It's amazing. Greatness.
The bangs. Well, I think you should think of a different career.
You want to turn around and show the back of your head?
I was going to say, enjoy when you can cut your hair. That's all I'm going to say. 'Cause you got hair to cut, right?
Shot from my own son.
That's a good spot to end on it right there.
Well, we could ask Kiki, got any funny stories about your dad? There's got to be one.
Yeah.
Oh, well, didn't you get blown off a stool at wasn't it really windy one day? Yeah. All right. Well, hey, we really appreciate you guys coming in, and ladies as well.
Yes.
It was just kind of fun. I know during the season we like to try to. We've had Mara on the podcast before. We've asked the football players, but we'll just say that they'd prefer us after the season, which that's fine. So I think it's kind of great, but we appreciate you guys coming in. If you guys ever want to jump on in the future, let us know. We'd love to have you. It's always fun. We always like having guests.
Appreciate you guys. Congratulations and everything. And the messages that you guys said tonight, people who watch this, it means something to them, especially kids that are younger and look up to you guys and want to be the next Nourishment athlete. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right. We're good.
All right.
Thanks, Moose.
Thanks, Moosey. If you guys want